Hello wonderful people, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Diana and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, karibu sana sana, and if you're a resident, thank you so much for coming back. So before we continue, I'm going to take a 4 or 5 seconds break so that anyone who has not subscribed can subscribe. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. It's that easy and it's free. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. So today, if you've watched my first video, which was my introduction video, and if you haven't watched, I also highly recommend that you do so that you can just know what this channel is going to be all about. I talked about wanting to talk about faith and my spiritual journey. So I just saw it fit to talk about how I got to have a relationship with God, or how my faith journey started and how it's progressing before we dive into other topics. So today I'm just going to give just a short story, or let's say this is going to be a story time of how I got to have a deeper relationship with God and how my faith got strengthened. So I'm just going to have this story time as I do a soft glam. I'm supposed to be out of the house in the next 45 minutes to 1 hour. So I just thought it's going to be a good idea to get ready or do my makeup as I tell this story. So majority, if not all products, actually all products that I'm using here are from Makeover Palace. I'm going to list all the products and the prices down on the description box, and I'm also going to mention them as I do my makeup. I already prepped my face, applied some toner and some serum, so the only thing that I haven't done is moisturize, and then we're going to get right into it. So for moisturizing, I'm using this simple Kind to Skin Hydrating Light Moisturizer. This one is currently sold out, but we're working on restocking, and it goes for 850 shillings. So, where do we start? Oops. Where do we start? Growing up, let me just give a brief. So, I did grow up in a Christian home, being raised by a single mom, and it was not a very strict Christian home like you would assume, but we grew up knowing there is a God. We went to church. We are Catholics, so we did have Jumias coming to our home, and I think I got the praying culture, or just believing in prayer, from the time that I was growing up. So fast forward, I'm now an adult, staying in university, and I do have a relationship with God. I mean, I am praying. One thing about me, I cannot start my day or end my day without saying a prayer. Hata kama nimechoka aje, even if it's just going to be the grace or whatever short prayer, I just find it so difficult to sleep or to have or to just go on with my day if I've not said a prayer. I'd say at least 2 prayers every day, just in the morning and in the evening. I would often also pray the rosary. I would also occasionally fast. So I did have a relationship with God. This is early in university and also in high school. Let's fast forward to 2019. So in 2019, I'm going to start with my eyebrows. As you can see, my eyebrows are already pre-dyed. I like to pre-dye my eyebrows so that I just don't have a very hard time, because I could really spend time, like 20 whole minutes on my eyebrows. So for my eyebrows, I'm going to use a Davis eye pencil. I use it in number 3. We do not have this, but I'm sure you can find it in any cosmetic shop near you. So I just make sure it's quite sharp. I'm not going to put in a lot of product on my eyes because it's already dyed. I just want to form a good structure. I'm looking for my mirror. Here it is. I'm going to use this brush for my eyebrows. This brush come together, these two, they go for 700 shillings. I use this for my foundation, and then I use this for my eyebrows. So yeah, where was I fast forwarded to 2019. So up to here, I have a relationship with God. I'm praying, I'm fasting, I'm doing the best that I can, right? So on this fateful Sunday, I was actually fasting. I wake up to go to church, and one of my right eye is really red, right? So I wake up quite surprised, like, what happened overnight. But I just ignore it, wash the eye with plenty of water, and go to church. So I come back home, of course, just knowing or hoping that this is something that kesho nitaamka kama iko sawa. I'm using this Rimmel Lasting Radiance concealer for my eyebrows, and I'm in the shade Fawn. I'm definitely not in the shade Fawn. This is lighter than my skin tone. That's why I use it for my eyebrows and for highlighting. This goes for 650 shillings. Monday, when I wake up, the eye is swollen, like swollen now. It was just red. Now it's red and it's swollen. So I just decided, okay, this is something that definitely needs medical attention. So my mom and I go to Optica in Garden City. So we go to Optica in Garden City. The optician looks at me there and says, this is not something that she could handle because it looks like it's an infection. So I should go to an ophthalmologist. So at this point, my mom called an uncle of mine who is a doctor to just ask him if he can recommend any ophthalmologist, because of course we have no clue and we just don't want to go to anyone. So my uncle quickly reminds us that there's an auntie of mine who is actually an ophthalmologist. So we call her, and she says she's out of town, but refers us to her friend. So she's an ophthalmologist in Bagathi. First of all, we had such kidogo faith for Bagathi, just because it's a public hospital and there's a lot of negative reviews of public hospitals. But because my aunt works there and referred us to someone, so we were confident at least enough to go. So we go to Bagathi. We of course queue, whatever, and then I'm tested. The doctor sees the results, and she's shocked, and she's like, "Why do you have such a bad infection?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So I go with my mom to the pharmacy. We got the tablet, the eye drops. There were 4 eye drops. And then I go back to the doctor. Now she gives me instructions on how to use the eye drops. I was supposed to put eye drops on that eye after every 3 hours, and there were like 4 different eye drops. So she gives me that and asks me to come back 3 days for a review. So I do that and we go home. So we go home, and then after 3 days, my auntie is now back. She's in Bagathi now. So thing is, in those 3 days, there was no improvement. My eye was still the same. It had actually gotten worse. At this point, this eye cannot see completely, like sioni na macho kabisa. So I go to Bagathi, and then I get tested, but by now my auntie, so she's like, there's a layer that has formed on your eye that is not allowing the medication to penetrate. So that is why I'm not even improving. That's why that's why my eye is not even improving. It's actually getting worse. So she tells me the only way to now remove that layer is to scrap it off. Already I'm done. Already I'm dead. As in, scrap it off. So actually that procedure was not painful, but it was so uncomfortable. She was very gentle. It was not painful, but it was really uncomfortable. But I remember her scrapping it off, and then now she gave me the same medication and told me, now use this for 2 days and let's see if there's going to be any improvement. So I use it for 2 days. I come back, still she tests me and still no improvement. It's actually like nothing is happening. She needed to do an x-ray to see, like, deeper inside the eye, and whatever machines that they were to use to see whatever that was going on inside the eye was not, they did not have the machines in Bagathi. So she calls a friend of hers who is also an ophthalmologist but in Coptic, and refers me to him. And by this time it's in the evening, I think the other week in the evening, and then so the doctor books me in for the next day in the morning. So my auntie says, now she tells me and my mom that if this infection is too, like, let's just hope that the infection is not so bad. If it's so bad, I will need to be injected inside my eye. Yeah, they'll need to inject me inside my eye. This pointness came and I'm just like, nah, you can't be. Like, already it's been enough. At this point, this eye haioni kabisa. It's I'm struggling. Like, if I want to kuangalia kitu huko, I have to like turn like this. So this time we went back home and I am praying the whole night, praying, just telling God, no, I hope the infection is not bad. I cannot take injections in my eye, blah, 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 blah. We were just here praying. And then the next day we went to Coptic Hospital and they do the x-ray and whatever things that they need to do. And then they call me and they tell me your eye is very much infected and we need to give you 3 injections. 3 injections, not one. Where? Inside the eye. Yani, I don't know. I was so scared. I was so frustrated. I felt like I'm dreaming. I was so disappointed because I'm like, I have been praying, I have been fasting. What do I need to do so that this does not happen to me? What do I even do to deserve this? And how the devil tests you. Remember that I said this happened to me when I was fasting. My eye got infected on a Sunday, the Sunday that I was actually fasting. So you're just asking yourself, Yani, why then? What am I doing all this for? So anyway, I tell the doctor, okay, so should we book for the injection maybe in 2 weeks time or whatever? And he's like, no, it has to happen tonight. If you don't get injected tonight, you might lose your eye. Like your eye might have to be removed, like chucked. And he says, even if we do the operation, the chances are that even after the injection and if the medicines don't work, you still need to have your eye removed. So they organize for me to go to theater. And then I go to the theater. The doctors there were really kind and very compassionate. Like, they knew that that was not, of course, an easy thing to do. I remember just, the doctor just telling me everything will be okay. And I gave those people a hard time. Like, I gave them a hard time. Walikuwa wamenishika huku na miguu to be able to inject me in the eye, and it was chaos. But I finally got 3 injections inside my eye, and let me tell you, that is pain that I do not wish on anybody. That is the most pain I have felt, and just even thinking about it, I feel like I'm getting goosebumps. It was so painful. I cried and cried. It was just hella painful. And so after that, I was permitted to go home. But then the doctor now called another ophthalmologist who is, some specialist, and told and explained my case, and said I've been injected, but advised that I go to see this other one now the next day in the morning. So this other one is in Westlands. Her name is Dr. Agwal. She is really, really good. I really thank God for her. She is actually just seen by appointment. So we just booked for the next day. Like, she just squeezed us in because the doctor that I was seeing really insisted that it was urgent. So I went home, and the headache that I was having on that side of the eye was just so dramatic. But anyway, I had some strong painkillers, managed to sleep, and then the next day now I went to see the doctor. Dr. Agwal was really nice. Okay, she was of course quite shocked and wondered, like, what happened to my eye, because apparently that infection was, really, really bad. But she really assured me that they are going to do their best to take care of it and to take care of me. I am not so huge on eyeshadow, so I'm just going to do a very neutral color, but I do feel like some glitter today. You're going to see. She does some tests, and then she asks to see the eye drops that I have been using, and I show them to her, and she actually throws them away in front of me. So she says that those are actually good eye drops that I was given, but they were not counterfeit, they were, what do we call this, generic. They were not original. And she was saying for the type of infection that I had, I really needed to use original eye drops. So she threw them away, she checked my eye, she gave me the same eye drops, but now the original ones. So these are 4 eye drops. I think one was like about 2K, and I'm just supposed to use them for 3 days and come back for a review and then change again. Let me tell you guys that medical in this country is expensive. At this time, I have no insurance. No one has prepared me for this sickness, of course. I was in my last year in school, and I remember I wouldn't have to get sick to get admitted. Whatever medical plan that I have was just the one for USIU, where you just go to, the pharmacy. The only problem I really had was just maybe throat infections and asthma, to just refill my inhalers, and they would take care of that. So I really did not see any need of getting or even paying for NHIF. So it was so financially draining, because even the injections that we had to get at Coptic were quite expensive. I think one injection was about, I don't know, but I just remember it was really expensive. But anyway, isn't there God? So we go to see Dr. Agwal. She gives me the eye drops. I go home. At this time now, I have been, they've put a bandage on my eye, because it's not supposed to be exposed to sunlight, to dust, to so many things. At least it was a very decent whatever eye bandage. I'm going to try and get a photo. So I go home, and I go to hospital again after 3 days. At this point, I am so tired. I've gone to hospital I'm already in and out of hospital for like a whole month. And there is no progress, absolutely no progress. They are like, you can literally see the doctors almost giving up, because they're like, okay, it's a whole month. Something honestly should be happening. At this point, I'm not even praying anymore. I am so mad at God. I am feeling so frustrated. It's like life has just changed from nowhere, because I'm not allowed to go anywhere. I'm having headaches all the time. I used to feel like this eye, unafeel kama iko na mchanga. Iko na mchanga mob, but hakuna mchanga. There's like, you just feel some irritation. And then at the same time, you have terrible headaches. And then because of the eye drops, now I was really breaking out so bad on this side of the face. It was horrible. It was such a dark moment for me. I remember I would just go after hospital, just go inside my room and not leave my room until after 3 days. Of course, just leave to shower until after 3 days to go to the hospital again. I was not watching TV. I was just depressed. It was so bad. So at this point, I'm not even praying anymore. I'm just depending on my friends to pray. And I must say, having friends who are also, strong spiritually and have a relationship with God, or just not necessarily friends, even family, is such an important thing, because without them, I feel like they really held me down at that point. Shout out to them, they know themselves. I feel like they really held me down at that point in terms of prayer, when I felt like, no, I've had it with God. I've had it. So I'm using this eyeshadow that we do not have in stock at this time, but I really love it. Look at the colors. And as I said, I'm not a very big fan of colors on my eye. So these nudes are just everything. 1 month in and out of hospital, no, absolutely no change is happening. Doctors here looking like they're giving up on me. I'm not able to pray at this point. I'm just feeling so disappointed, and I'm so mad at God, because I'm like, I don't deserve this. Why is this happening to me? I don't deserve this. Life has actually stopped. You can see other people's lives are actually going on, and you just feel like, it's just me. Mi ndo nimekosea. Mimi ndo tu niko na shida. You get? So I was saying one thing about me. I also don't stay so much into that kind of state. And this is the longest I've also stayed, because it was about 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I'm just down and I don't want to do anything. I've not snapped out of it. But then I decided I just need to snap out of it. And you accept your situation. You're like, you know what? I'm actually just really mixing some 3 shades here very randomly. So I don't even know how to say it. This is what I'm doing. I'm just mixing in it very, very randomly. Yeah, so I was just, so after like a month, 3-4 weeks even, I snapped out of it, and I just went back into praying. And since I had so much time, because there's nowhere I was going, I'm not supposed to go anywhere with the I was not supposed to be exposed to sunlight, and that made me the state where I was even emotionally. I could not even have. I have a bandage on my eye. I don't want to go anywhere. So I really had a lot of time, and this is where I just decided I'm going to get deeper into Christianity. So I do not know how I came across this YouTube channel, but I did, and it's from Transformation Nation. This is a church in the US, in Tulsa. So I came across this church and their YouTube page on YouTube. It's called Transformation Nation, and let me tell you, my life changed from that time. Yani, I don't know, they have a huge variety of series. They have Crazy Faith, they have Relationship Goals, they have Faith by a Flood. They have so many series that are very relatable. The preaching is so good. It's just so refreshing. And I used to binge watch the sermons, like binge watch. How we would watch a series from episode 1 to 10, that is how I used to watch sermons and sermons and sermons. And I got back into praying, and I got back into fasting. As I said, I'm Catholic, so I used to pray the rosary like 5 times a day, all the mysteries of the rosary in one day, or actually in one sitting. And it was just a marathon of prayer and fasting and not giving up and just getting deeper into the Word of God. And I quickly realized that people are going through very different things, and just because you're going through it does not mean that God is not with you. Just because you're a good Christian, just because you're a Christian, does not mean you're not going to go through things. You are going to go through a lot of things. The only difference is that now God is going to be with you through it, and you're going to overcome eventually, and He's going to give you the grace to walk through such a storm. So I'm still in and out of hospital at this point. Still, at least not feeling very hopeful. I'm still scared, but I'm quite hopeful. I'm just like, I know God has a plan for me. I'm planning to use this. This is a glitter eyeliner, but I want to see if I can just use it as I'll see if I can use it as a liner, or I can just dab the shimmer on my, let's see. So I just remember after like 2 months, I go to hospital this one day, and the nurse is like, oh my goodness, I can see some change. There's some progress, some progress. Like the nurses that appear in corners in my head, what is going to happen to her? So remember here, the doctors were actually saying that this eye might not go back to normal and that it might have to be removed. Maybe the thought of that, nilikuwa nakemea hiyo kitu. Like I was just like, God, it's not me. That is what they've said, but that is not the plans that you have for me. So sikuwa nakubali ati nitatolewa macho. It was like tufyakwa. Nilikuwa nimekata. Like that was just not my portion. It was not my portion. And as much as doctors not kwa because of it, as much as walikuwa nasema hivyo, mimi nilikuwa na believe to nope. Si mimi. So nimeenda hosi this time, and the nurse, they were actually very excited for me because walikuwa wameona to the pain, as going to hospital 3 times a week. Paying for the consultation was like 3,000 every day you go. See the insurance kumbuka. The consultation is 3,000 every day you go. So for consultation alone in a week it's 9,000, and then every time I go, eye drops zinakuwa exchanged. I used to put eye drops in my eye after every hour. Uneka eye drops after every 3 hours you put 4 eye drops. After every 3 hours, it was so draining. I was so tired. I'm here praying and fasting and being hopeful, but at the same time I'm human. I am just so tired, and I'm just like, God, I want this to end. The 2 months seemed like forever. So I remember there's a day Dr. Agwal alikuwa ameenda India. And then I had to see another doctor there because I still had to, be reviewed and with my medicines change and all that. So Dr. ambaye alikuwa amebaki hapo na yeye alikuwa hajawahi niona before because I'd only see Agwal. Nini macho zangu hivi, alishtuka hadi akawistle. He was like, what happened to you? Hearing that from a doctor, as in doctor ameshtuka hadi ana whistle, it was very scary for me because I was like, what? I thought I'm getting better. What is this one talking about? He was very shocked, and I sitaweza how that doctor was like, me alinishangaza sana. Because how do you whistle? I mean, how am I supposed to feel as a patient? I remember my mom being so pissed, wondering sasa huyu akiwhistle hivi ude wanafaa kusikia aje, but anyway. And I must also mention that I got an eye infection out of being very careless, I would say, with contact lenses. Initially, I've had an eye problem, so at this point, even when getting this infection, I do have I do wear glasses. I was wearing glasses, but I don't like wearing glasses, so I used to wear contact lenses, but I did not have enough information on how you're supposed to take care of your contact lenses. So contact lenses are not bad. I would not say they're bad, although they gave me a horrific experience. I'm traumatized. But I would say it's just because I did not take care. I did not take good care of them. Like, I would sometimes wash them off with tap water, and you're not supposed to do that. I would go to the sauna with them, and the heat was not very good with them. Those things formed bacteria on the contact lenses that eventually just damaged the eye. So if you're using contact lenses, kindly please be very, very careful with your hygiene and how you're taking care of it. For now, I'm out of that contact lenses club because the trauma that it gave me, and I'm wearing glasses 24/7. Not a fan of glasses, to be very honest, but what can we do? So yeah, okay, I want to use this L'Oreal glitter eyeliner. This one, it's in gold. I don't know, I have never used glitter eyeliner before. I want to try and do this. I hope it works. Guys, I'm really... Ooh, okay, I love the pigment. I'm not a glitter fan, but if you are, I don't know how I've done with this. I think I've tried. As I said, I've never done this before. I think I'm doing better on this eye. It's a bit seamless and not so messy, or maybe I spoke too soon. Let's do the face now. The eye takes forever, and I'm using this Illegal Pro Prep just to prime my face. I love this one. Ina kandogo sana, but I've had it for a minute. So you how come waishi? Anyway, where am I? I feel like I'm really drifting with this story of mine, but I'm almost done. So supposed to dab in your primer. I'm usually so lazy and I just do this, but really you need to dab in your primer. So from there on, this is month 2 of in and out of hospital every week, twice or thrice a week. But since they started seeing results, or started seeing at least kidogo progress, I was very much, now I was very, very, very hopeful. And I'm here just continuing to pray and to fast. And during that journey, even before, I got better, I was like, God just taught me a lot. I stopped asking myself, why me? And I asked, why not me? Shida upate binadamu, na mimi ni binadamu, so mbona isinipate mimi? Just because I have a problem doesn't mean that God hates me. Jesus went through trials. Jesus went through hell, and he told God, God, if you could take this cup away from me, then please do. But if it's your will, then, let it be done. So, God can use so many things to get you closer to him. And I normally say that the eye infection for me was such a blessing in disguise, because this is the point that I really found Christ. I did know Christ and I did have a relationship with God, but it was definitely just playing on the shallow, and God knew that I needed to get deeper, that I needed to know him better. And I also learned that every test has a testimony. That was a test for me, and here I am speaking of my testimony. So every test has a testimony, and just because you're going through it does not mean that God is not with you. So for foundation, I'm going to use this Revlon colorstay, and I'm in shade 400, which is caramel. So normally I like to do this. This foundation is very runny, so you need to be very careful. And then I start with the middle part and go down to my chin. And then I don't put a lot of product under my eye, because I'm eventually going to use a concealer there, and I avoid to put so much product so that it does not crease. I love how this foundation is my shade. Love it. I love to find foundation it's just such a good thing to find a foundation that's your shade. eventually, Dr. Agwal comes back, and she also kept on saying that anaona results, anaona some changes, and that really, gave me some hope. So when you're applying foundation on your like forehead area, you should put the product somewhere here and then blend moving upwards so that you don't leave too much product right here on the hairline. Yeah, so after like 3 months, Dr. Goodgwal tells me, pali imefika sasa, the medicine will not do more than that because the whatever the infection had healed but ilikuwa imeacha scar. Unajua tu venye unaweza kuona kidonda anywhere ipone lakini iache alama, so ilikuwa imeacha scar, so that scar ndo inafanya bado nikuwe na some blurry vision on this eye. And doctors' terms, they say that I am clinically blind, but I still refuse that word. The other part can only be corrected through surgery, but this was optional. Optional because that surgery was supposed to be a cornea transplant surgery because it's my cornea that was damaged. So it's supposed to be a cornea transplant surgery. That means una get cornea ya mtu. Well, it's normally someone who has died. People who have died don't want to donate cornea zao. So you get someone's cornea and then a transplant is going to happen. I like to, if I'm using my brush, I normally use beauty blender when I'm doing a foundation, but if I'm using my brush, I like to go in with my beauty blender just to make sure everything is good. Yeah, so Dr. Gwal tells me now the next thing that imebaki ni kufanya transplant so that that scar can be removed na your cornea iweze kuwa, corrected. Because one thing that was bothering me at that point was that scar. It was quite visible, although when I was asking my friends and, my family, they were like, no, tuione sisi. But I know alikuwa naiona, but ni ile tu kupatia mtu hope. You don't want someone to feel bad. So I consulted a number of ophthalmologists or a number of doctors about the surgery, and went to 2 different hospitals to see doctors who would tell me the way forward, and all of them thought that I should not go for the surgery because it was like any other surgery, it's risky and you just never know. And also nikaambiwa that the surgery did not mean that my eye would go back to, the eyesight would go back to normal 100%. At that point, kama hii macho ilikuwa inaona 30%, surgery would maybe just correct it to a 50%. So after nilisikia, all those opinions from different doctors, I just decided, you know what? I'm not going to do the surgery. I'm just going to go on and wear my glasses and hopefully the scar will disappear pole pole. So I'm going to use the same Rimmel concealer that I used for my eyebrows, for my under eye. Yeah, and true to it, scar will disappear too pole pole. So yeah, as I mentioned, I felt that, and I know, I didn't even feel, I still know that this period where I got this eye infection was very intended. Like I'd never want to go through that again, but I feel like if I didn't go through it, I would not have been the person that I am today. I feel like that experience really changed me. That experience really humbled me. It taught me a lot, and it most importantly brought me closer to God. Gave me so much. I became more empathetic. I feel like you just never know what anyone is going through. Just ukiona mtu, I remember there's this time nilikuwa nimetoka hosi and it was in the evening. Actually this day was the day ya hiyo injection. So tumetoka hosi usiku, nimewekwa bandage na sasa nilikuwa nimevaa some huge sunglasses. So I'm just before I entered the house, my next door neighbors were some bachelors and I think they were having some party or something. And then one of them, I remember one of them was maybe a bit tipsy or drunk, asking the other one, and I could hear him because it was so loud, telling the other one, sasa huyu dem anajisikia aje anavaa sunglasses usiku hivi. And you just, at that time, nimevaa because I have a big eye problem. It felt quite bad, but it just shows you and it just teaches you that, just show grace to people. Usiongelele kitu ambaye haujui. Just mind your business also. So yeah, I would say that I learned a couple of things from my experience. One of the things that I learned is that having a circle that is very prayerful, or having a friend, at least one friend or two friends that are very prayerful, is very, very helpful. Because at some point when I was going through this, I couldn't pray myself. I couldn't pray. I was so overwhelmed. I was so tired. And it's very okay to feel that, to feel like you're tired, to feel like you're angry at God. God understands that we are human. You feel like, hey, Mazi, I don't deserve this. So at that point, you really need someone who will hold you down in prayer. Someone who will, say, I know you can't pray, but let me pray for you. And I am so grateful that I had that in my life, because that really helps me. And even just growing and stronger in God, just growing stronger in faith, knowing that you have people, knowing that you have people who are in the same journey with you, people who all of you are not perfect, but you're just trying to progress to be better Christians. Then it's a big plus, because you're just open with each other, telling each other sometimes that, hey, I didn't pray today, I couldn't do this today, help me do it. It's such a blessing to have that, and I feel like it's really, really, really important, because your circle or your friends or the energy that you receive matters a lot. Another thing that I learned is that you should be very persistent in prayer. Persistence in prayer shows you perspective. Like the perspective that I got, I stopped asking myself why me, and asked myself why not me. What is this situation teaching me? As I say, that situation changed me, it humbled me, it made me more compassionate, it made me appreciate my family more, because how my family came through for me was just it was just love at a different level, and it just opened my eyes to so many things. So while you continue praying, it will show you a different perspective, and you should be very, very persistent. Usiombe leo and then you're like, okay, I prayed yesterday. No, you should be very, very persistent in prayer. There's a story in the Bible. I'm not sure what book this is, but I just remember learning this in primary school. And there was a woman who was very, I'm not sure I'll get the story clearly, but just to give you some meat to it, there's a woman who would go to the judge and would go to the judge so much to frustrate the judge about something that she wanted. I think she was being judged unfairly regarding her husband's property or something like that, but the judge would always ignore her because she was a poor woman. But eventually the judge just gave her what she wanted, because she was very persistent. So if this was so we are also told that if this was an unjust judge and just gave this woman what she wanted because the woman was persistent, what about a just God who knows what you deserve, who is willing to forgive you? What is he going to do for you? How many doors will he open for you if you continue being persistent in prayer? Another thing that I learned is that prayer is not everything. Prayer is not the only solution. You need to surrender. You need to surrender. Prayer is good, but you need to pray with action, and action is surrendering. Pray and tell God, God, this is what I want, but I don't know what you want for my life. I want what you want for my life. Surrender what you want and ask God to give you what he knows is good for you. Surrender everything. Just surrender. While praying, just tell God, God, I've surrendered. This is what I want, but clearly it's not working. So me, I'm going to go nitaenda tu venye nataka niende, and then be very open to accepting the situation that you're in, and praying very persistently, and surrendering the situation and surrendering your life to God, because prayer is not enough. You need to surrender. You need to watch more sermons. You need to fast. You need to consume positive or godly content. When you're going through situations like the situation that I was going through, and you feel and ask God, God, is there any other way? You want to use me, you want me to be a testimony, thank you, but is there any other way? Wait, I want to set my concealer, and I'm going to use this W7 loose powder, Banana Dreams. I love it. This one goes for 650 shillings, and you will have it forever, because for setting powder you just use kidogo of it. I don't like to bake, so I'm just going to put it under my eye and buff it off. So I know some things can happen to you, and you're just like, God, is there any other way you can use me apart from this problem? Is there any other way I can be a testimony without going through what I'm going through right now? But if that is what God has decided that will happen to you, trust that He will get you out of it. You just need to be strong, and you need to pick the lessons from that, from whatever that you're going through. Just pick the lessons, because trust me, whatever that you're going through has lessons from it. It's just perspective. It's just how you decide to see it. Ukikaa hapo ukisema for 3 months, 1 month, 2 months utakuwa tu unalia and asking God why me. I'm not trying to see perspective. I'm not trying to find solution. I'm not trying to sympathize with yourself, but rather pray for yourself and accept where you are and do things that are going to change whatever you feel or the situation that you're in. Then there's not much. You also need to help yourself for you to be helped. It's very much okay, and I understand if you yani inafika point unasema God, use anything else, do anything else to me, but not this. But imagine it's already there. The situation is already there. It's already happening. Kama mimi nilikuwa na infection already, ishafanyika. So how am I going to pull myself out of this? I'm going to go to hospital. I'm not going to miss any appointments. I'm going to pray over my situation, even if it's going to be 1 month in and out of hospital, 2 months in and out of hospital, doctors saying that there are no results. I'm still going to, be persistent. I'm still going to be very hopeful. I'm still going to encourage myself, because it only takes you to get you to where you want. Just you. Watu wengine watakuwa encourage, watu wengine, but if hizo words zikiingia hapa zikitoka huko, ama someone ukisikiza, ama you're just praying for the sake of it, then nothing is going to happen. So it really takes you to pull yourself out of the rut that you're in. And so now finally I'm going to use, not really finally, but I'm going to use this Fit Me powder for my whole face. My shade is in a caramel again, but this here is 350. So I'm just going to use that all over my face, and I'm using my beauty blender to do that. So another thing that I feel people should learn is that change is progressive. Usiombe leo and then expect a miracle to happen today. Change can be slow and can be very progressive. It took 3 months for me to heal. Your situation might change in 1 year. Your situation might change in 1 week. So ukiomba, your timing pia si time ya God. Depend on timing yako, you will be very disappointed, because you umepanga in 2 months, I want to be this, I want to be here, I want to do this and this and this, but that's not the plan that God has for you. So if you rely on your timeline and what you want to do for yourself, I had so many plans that I wanted to do those 3 months. I had to stop a lot of things. I had to cancel so many things. But I knew at the end of the day, like right now, in hindsight, I can see why it had to happen. Like, I am such a different person from the person that I was in 2019 and the years back. Such a totally different person. If you knew me before that, you don't know me now. You really just don't know me now. I think it's very important to just have faith. Change can be very slow, and it can be very and it can be very discouraging. But you just need to have faith and believe that there is a God in heaven, because there is a God in heaven. Whatever that I went through, and if I'm here today and doctor said that macho yangu tatolewa na haikutolewa, no one can tell me that there is no God. If I could afford all those hospital bills and still paid other bills and never went to bed hungry, no one can tell me that there is no God. So I'm just here to encourage you that there's a God in heaven. That everything that is happening to you might not make sense, but it is happening for a reason. I'm just here to encourage you to surrender yourself to God, to surrender your life to God. And I understand if you're going through something and you feel so tired, you feel like God does not love you, or what. People are going through so many things. Okay, like when I was going to hospital, there are also worse cases than mine, and I was thinking I'm just the only one who's going through this. No, cases za macho zilikuwa more. I'm like, what's happening to people's eyes? So you also need to know that people are going through a lot. Be compassionate, extend the same grace that God is extending to you to other people. Be very kind to people, and be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself, and just know hakuna kitu ambaye time haichange ama time haiheri. You are going to be fine. You're going to be okay. You're going to be very much alright. So yes, that is basically how, in so many words, so many stories, that is how I found my faith back in Christ. I'm using this powder that we don't have at the moment to contour. I like to use a powder that's 2 shades darker than my skin tone, and I'm also just using this fluffy brush to contour. I really hope that you feel encouraged, that if you're going through anything, imagine hakuna kitu ambayo Mungu hawezi change. Like literally there is nothing that God can change. And whatever you're going through, I also just want to encourage you that si mwisho wa dunia. Imagine si mwisho wa dunia. Like as long as you're still breathing and you're in this world, God can change. There is no situation that God cannot change. The same Jesus who rose people from the dead, the same Jesus who fed 5,000 people, that same one you want to tell me is situation yako unaona haiwezi change, ata change. You just have faith. Have faith and pray. If you're in a rut, simama, omba. Just be kind to yourself. I want you to allow yourself to go through all the emotions that you're going through, but don't stay there for too long. Don't let Satan win your soul for too long. And I just want to encourage anyone who feels that Mungu amemwacha, that Mungu hawezi kuacha. How? The same God that sent his son to die for you. You feel they can leave you. They can't. It can feel like so at this point, but that is not the case. I'm using this brush to contour my nose. So with my nose, I start from just below my eyebrows and just shape it to the shape that I want. So for my setting my face, I'm using the usual W7 matte fixer. I love this setting spray so much. It goes for only 650 shillings and it gives me the matte look that I love. I'm actually done with my makeup. I just want to do my lips. I might have to do that off camera because I'm not decided what lip combo I want to do, and then I'm going to come back to end this video. So yes guys, you can finally end this video. I've done my lips. I just went for some subtle look, and I used a lip liner and this Rimmel concealer. But anyway, I hope anyone who has watched this has learned one or two things. I don't want to say such kind of testimonies or such kind of messages. Hata mtu mmoja tu hivi akisikia na asikie a different way, just one person, then my job is done. So I really just wanted to encourage you and to let you know that your situation is not permanent, so that things are going to change for the better, and that just try as hard as it is, try and take things positively. Try and see God's hand rather than the devil's hand in whatever situation that you're in. Whatever situation that you're in, try and find the positive side of it and try and learn the things that the situation can teach you, rather than just, sulking and wishing things were better and things were different, because you're there right now. Utafanya nini? Just pray for yourself, be persistent in prayer. Remember to surround yourself with people who are close to God, who are closer to God. And remember, Christianity is really a progression journey. I am not a perfect Christian. I still sin. We all do. But I try every day to just be kinder to myself, be kinder to my community, grow closer to God, pray more often, watch more sermons. It's just progress. And yes. So I think that's all. I hope you enjoyed doing my makeup with me. I really I enjoyed messing up my eye with me. Also, this was my first time doing this, but I really love this glitter eyeliner. As I mentioned, all the products that I've used, except maybe one or two that we don't have, I'm going to list them in the description box below. And don't forget to follow our Instagram page, Makeover Palace, and also my personal page, my personal Instagram page, Diana Rose. Thank you so much for watching this far. I hope that you have subscribed. Please like, share with your friends, and yes, let's get to grow together in faith. Let's get to learn together, and also let's get to unlearn together. Until next Friday, God bless you. Bye bye.